I am your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Thanks so much. Good to be here.
Start of a new week.
Yeah.
It's interesting down at the Capitol.
Yeah, I bet it is.
It is.
Lots going on.
And we're going to hit some of that. We're going to hit some other stuff. We've got Representative Magrum coming on to discuss no less than 3 bills for you folks. Brain food is tonight.
Yeah, we've got a lot. It's action-packed, as
It
always.
is.
So
But-
we're starting with something very interesting.
Yes.
There was an article out recently by The Blaze. And first of all, it's unusual that North Dakota is in an article of The Blaze anyway. We're kind of under the radar usually. But at this point, it's even more unusual that it was something kind of scathing about the state, about how we run things in our red state. And you can see it there. It was written by Daniel Horowitz, and it was what North Dakota teaches us about our failure to drain the swamp in red states. And he basically used us as the poster child for what not to do in red states, which is a little disturbing. You want to know why Trump voters feel so desperate with no one to turn to and nowhere to live in freedom? Look no further than North Dakota. That is how he started the article.
Yep.
And he wasn't wrong.
Right.
That's the part that was really interesting about it.
So it was scathing, but it was very, very insightful to what's going on in states like North Dakota, allegedly red states. And by the way, we are on day 317 of 14 days to flatten the curve, just FYI, folks.
Thanks for that update.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, so Mr. Horowitz really identifies an issue that we have talked about and that I've been aware of across the nation. Some of these states that are so red, they have this, this interesting situation where because they're so red, they lose their conservatism.
Right.
Because you can't get elected unless you're a Republican, and so anyone, regardless of their political philosophy, will run as a Republican.
As long as they have an R behind them, they're also
Right.
going to get elected too, which is another issue.
So he says, you would have thought that even if Democrats conjured up such an illegal, immoral, and illogical idea, he's referring to mask mandates, that it would be immediately opposed by every red state. Think again, welcome to North Dakota, which, thanks to leftist Governor Doug Burgum, has a mask mandate just like in California, despite zero evidence that such unconstitutional edicts change the natural geographical and seasonal trajectory of the virus. Despite zero evidence of efficacy, the alleged GOP governor once cried over people not wearing them in his state. He obviously would have no explanation for how 100% compliance has failed to work in Los Angeles.
He kind of made North Dakota the poster child for this, and he talked about in the article also the fact that we have supermajorities in both the House and the Senate. We have every single Republican in all of the higher offices as well. And then he talked about rhinos. And for those who do not really understand rhino, because I know people bandy that term about a lot, but it's not R-H-I-N-O. R-I-N-O is an acronym for Republican in name only. So that means somebody who calls themselves a Republican, has the R behind their name, but doesn't necessarily live those values when they get into governing or in legislating. And so what happens is you have a Republican in name only, somebody who says they do things, but they don't walk the walk. They talk the talk, but not walk the walk. They say, but not do. And we have maybe a rhino problem.
Well, we do have a rhino problem, and I think our governor, I mean, if we're going to go, I hate to always use the term because it sometimes is overused that the people who it is appropriately applied to, they don't care. It's just water off a duck's back because they hear it all the time. But in the sense of, if you're a Republican, do you actually adhere to the principles laid out in the Republican platform for the state? In that sense, which is the actual sense, Governor Burgum certainly is a rhino. There's no doubt about that. I don't think, and people say, oh, Burgum's a Democrat. I don't think he's a Democrat either. Burgum is just Burgum. He doesn't have a political orientation or philosophy. He's just the CEO and he's in charge, and that's it. It's interesting, the article talks about how they're, in the Tioga School Board in Williams County, up by Williston, Tioga, that they had a pushback to this mask mandate, and they had indicated that, and voted unanimously, no mask mandate.
And good for them.
And good for them. So he's indicating like, hey, there's a little bit of pushback, but then lo and behold, the state superintendent, Kirsten Baszler, then threatened funding and so forth, and so they capitulated. And so he writes, so here we are in a county Trump carried 82% to 15%, In a state Trump carried by 34 points and school children can't even learn without state-sanctioned child abuse. Baszler spoke about following the law, but what law? Mask mandates violate the essence of liberty. Plus, these edicts are all executive fiat. Fiat means that it's something as a poor substitute, a made-up substitute. They're not law. The question is, how can this persist in a state this conservative?
It's a great question. It
Yeah.
really is. And it's kind of mystifying, I think, to people, too, when they think about that. They're like, wait a minute. Well, if we are so conservative, we are constitutionalists and constitutional conservatives truly in North Dakota, how on earth did we even let this stuff happen?
Yep. He points out that the problem is really that we keep electing leftist Republicans. These are in his words. The reason we have this problem is because we elect leftist Republicans during the primaries, even in the reddest of states.
Right.
And he's exactly right, because we're focused. I don't think this is particular to North Dakota
No,
in any
it
way.
isn't. And actually, he mentioned in his article, too, Wyoming has kind of
Wyoming
the
has
same
the same.
problem. They have the same thing. They
Right.
have supermajorities, and yet they have ridiculous edicts. So
The problem is that the voters are not engaged enough, and we're all busy. So it's not a slam on voters in that sense. And even for those that try to become informed, the thing is, like we saw in the primary when Governor Burgum was putting out flyers via his PAC to try and get people elected, everybody uses the word conservatism. Everybody says they're in favor of decreased spending and better education and individual rights and everyone says it.
they take their pictures with firearms. They
Yes.
say it all in their flyers.
And so what it comes down to is the voter many times is going to be fooled. Here's the problem, Lori.
Okay.
Once a person is in, they just keep getting reelected. This is where I fault you, the voters, because now there's a record to stand on. First time around, yeah, you hear what you hear, you get flyers, you hear things, you vote. But now you have someone who has a record. There is no accountability.
Right.
No accountability. It's twofold. Number one, there's no accountability because people vote solely on name recognition, which is a shame. And number two, we don't have people willing to step up and provide the service to their state in areas and communities and in districts where clearly we have people that are not abiding by a conservative philosophy, not anywhere close to the platform of the Republican Party. But there's no one else to vote for because no one is stepping up to the plate.
So this is one of those times where this should light a fire under your bottom, and you should get involved. And not only involved, get involved at the grassroots level so that you can root out rhinos. I mean, you have to know about them, first of all. You have to, you have to choose and help choose. I was actually having this conversation this weekend with a couple of different people. I said, you need to either step up yourself and throw away the fear and say, listen, I'm a constitutional conservative and I'm not going to back down, and I'm not going to be one of those people who doesn't, walk the walk after I talk the talk. Or you're going to have to start asking those constitutional conservatives that what they suggest as far as other people who should run, and then get behind that person in every way that you possibly can.
Yeah, and you have to plan ahead.
Yes, you do
You have
to plan
to
ahead.
be prepared and come up with a plan, find somebody willing to step up. But just people have to be held accountable, and that's where we're lacking in
That's
North
the
Dakota,
problem.
throughout the U.S., both on city, county, and state levels. If we don't have accountability, we're not going to get things fixed.
I'm going to read the very end of his article because it was fantastic too. The point is, we can complain about Democrats controlling the trifecta of government in D.C. from now until 2022, but we have nobody to blame for red state fascism, especially in the issues determined at the state and local levels other than ourselves. It's time for a Never RINO movement parallel to a Constitution sanctuary movement, which will ensure liberty in red states. I thought that was fantastic.
Absolutely. If people would just step up and adhere to this Never RINO movement, hold your elected representatives accountable, that's when we start changing the nation.
Think about it. Think about what
Absolutely.
we could actually do if we actually have all sorts of constitutional conservatives in all those red states, and then it starts seeping into the purple states.
It would be much better to have fewer Republicans who are adhering to the principles of conservatism than to have a supermajority. I'll
100% agree with you. All right, excellent, excellent topic today. And next, we're going to talk about Rick's bill. This is Bill HB 1261. You can go look it up quick during the break if you could be following along yourself. We'll be right back.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink for trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Four Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Four Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Four Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Heroes and Icons is now Cozy TV. Don't worry, you'll still get your favorite Beck News programming without changing the channel. Real people, real news, Beck News.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. Here we are at segment 2. I'm going to be talking about House Bill 1261. It is an adjustment to the Civil Asset Forfeiture reform law that was passed last session.
So, which was a very good law.
It was. So let's do a little primer on Civil Asset Forfeiture reform. So I think most people would agree that if you get pulled over for something, that law enforcement, when they take your property, your money, your car, whatever property it is, that property should not be forfeited by a court unless you're found guilty. And that was not the case. It's still kind of not the case, but so the problem is, prior to this bill we passed 2 years ago, North Dakota was one of 2 states that had an F rating.
Oh,
yeah, with the
Civil
Institute
Asset
for Justice.
Wow.
Yeah, it was us in Massachusetts, a good company.
Ooh.
So the problem is that we had, in the way our laws were written, you didn't have to be convicted. You didn't even have to be charged with the crime.
They would still,
not formally charged with the crime.
Take your assets?
Right. Now, this is, I don't want to get too detailed,
Right.
but they could still take them. And forfeiture is not about the taking of
Right,
them.
it's about
the
keeping it.
court giving them, or keeping them. Yes, we'll say keeping them.
Right.
So this has nothing to do with what happens between you and the law enforcement officer. It has everything to do with what happens to your stuff in the court of law after.
Got it.
So the thing is that if you're not convicted, most people would agree you should get your stuff back.
You'd think.
And that's not the way it was in North Dakota. There are a couple of other things with civil asset forfeiture reform that states who don't have good laws like us were looking at changing. One is that it goes from civil to criminal, meaning that your stuff only gets kept or taken away permanently if you're convicted of something. Number two, that the money that the state gets for selling and auctioning your stuff, or the actual taking of your money, that can't go to a law enforcement type checking account. Right? It has to be a neutral fund.
Right.
And this was kind of a touchy area because, you know, you could hardly talk about it and people would immediately come to the defense and say, our law enforcement officers are not crooked. And that's absolutely true. However, it's still bad law when you incentivize law enforcement to do seizures, and that increases their funding in essence.
Right.
And so it's just good law. There's no accusations. It's good law. Put it in a neutral fund. You can put it in the general fund for the state, you know, whatever it might be. You can even put it in a separate fund that the legislature could say, hey, we're going to also give you this, but at least it's not a direct, you know, kind of quid pro quo.
Tuck it away so that it's not accessible.
Right. So the third and final major thing is transparency and reporting. It's important that we in the state, the legislators and the legislators and the people of the state can keep track of what's going on. When people get pulled over and their property is taken, we should have an idea of where this is happening, why is it happening, are the people being convicted, how much is being taken, what's being taken. There should be a report for that.
It just reminds me of votes and chain of custody.
Yeah,
You should
absolutely.
have a chain of custody.
That's absolutely correct. So here's the thing. So I had a great bill that would have turned us from an F into an A. It got completely watered down, completely bastardized, and they sort of neutered all three components, but yet made them better, made it sort of sound like it was good reform. You know, in some ways it was very limited improvement, but like the minimum that you could still kind of call it.
So we'd get maybe a C+
and I was
out of it?
absolutely opposed to it, and I said, you know, look, here's the scoop. Forget, even if you took away the conviction requirement, you took away the neutral fund requirement, at least let's do good reporting. If you can give me good reporting, I'll still support the bill.
Sure.
Didn't happen.
Oh my.
So I opposed the bill. It still passed, so now I get credit for my bill being civil asset forfeiture reform when it really, it's
not much reform at all.
So here's the scoop. I'm not going back to say, I want a good law. I want to turn us into an A. I'm just going back and say, please, sir, may I have just a little bit of good reporting?
Don't you know it's called incrementalism? All of the lefties know how to do this. You do not know how to do incrementalism? You just have to, you just have to slide them into it.
I usually like to go for the whole shebang, but in this case I am saying, please, sir, just a little transparency. So the scoop is, all we're looking for is a good report from the Attorney General's office. And I have the report here. Let's pull up a couple graphics here. We've got this handy dandy report. This is what it looks like. It is, I don't know what I'm going to look
How
here.
many
12
pages?
yeah, about 12 pages. Pretty simple. If we go to, I'm going to drop right into page 7, and the reason I am pointing this out is this is under disaggregated information. So aggregated information is stuff that you wouldn't be able to tease out individual things. This is disaggregated. This is where we should be able to tease out the details. Here's the problem. That's not very detailed.
Not at all. No.
And this is with currency, you see at the top. So there's currency, there's autos, there's firearms, and then there's other. But for example, with currency, this is just what was taken, but we don't know anything. What was the person charged with? Were they found guilty? Did they contest it?
Right.
We just don't know anything at all. Let's go to the next one here. I think it might be automobiles. Yeah, so automobiles, we know that, you know, there was a few in Burleigh County, 2 in Cass County, but again,
Not very specific.
Don't know any details at all.
Very, very vague.
Right. So let's pop on to my bill there, 1261. That's it right there. If we go to the first highlighted section, there are a couple of things. Now, by the way, the Attorney General has 3 recommendations that he put in his report. All three of his recommendations are employed. So this bill takes care of his concerns with it. Now, it does a little more than that. Number one, it adds more information to the disaggregated.
Good.
And just a few of the things it adds. We want to know the crime that the suspect was charged with. We want to know what happened. Was he found guilty? Was he or she
right
let
there,
off?
isn't it? Yeah, that's good.
Right. And was there a default? Because the problem is most of the people default because it's not worth their time, money, expense of getting a lawyer to try and get their property back. Right. And then what happened to the property that was taken? What actually was it up for auction? Who did somebody keep it? Was it given back? We want to know these things, and that should be included in an extensive report. Let's go to the last graphic we have on this. Now, here's another thing. The Attorney General said, you know, it's kind of silly for us to report when we take less than $50 or less. And I can't disagree, but I'm going to take it just a slight twist on it. It's kind of silly to take less than $50.
Right.
So the thing is, yes, let's not report it, but let's not report it because we're not taking it. Because if you have a criminal selling drugs and that person is up for a penalty of $10,000, taking his $29 and change isn't going to change anything. He's not going to suddenly be left off the hook. Right. So just let them keep it. Don't report it. I don't like the idea of not reporting something that you're taking. So, and this will have no effect. The other thing that you may have seen up there, it says a motor vehicle with a market value of less than $1,000. Again, it's not about trying to let criminals keep their stuff. It's about letting people who aren't criminals keep their stuff. But also, it's just simple, plain logic.
Right.
If a vehicle costs less than $1,000 or is valued at less than $1,000, think about what happens. The officer seizes the vehicle. Okay, then it's going to have to go to a trial. It's going to have to go through. This takes a long time. What happens to the vehicle? It has to be placed in storage, in safekeeping, which is very, very expensive.
Right.
You will never, the county has to pay for this. You will never get your money back if the vehicle is worth less than $1,000.
When you're having to store it.
Right, so this is just common sense stuff.
It is.
So again, I'm not getting any kind of civil asset forfeiture reform that I think is best for the people of North Dakota, because I think that's a lost cause right now. But I think that this bill, it should not be objected to by the Attorney General. Yes, there's more in the report, but all of the information in the report is already able to be provided by the individual courts. And,
there's no reason that it can't just be added to the report. That it's just, the fact that it's ignored is a little iffy.
Right.
And,
so
yeah.
this can be it's not a big win, but this can be at least a first down that the Attorney General, law enforcement, the state's attorneys, and the people of North Dakota can all agree on. So let's hope it passes. I think I'm presenting it tomorrow in committee.
HB 1261 for those of you following at home.
Yeah.
Let's hope it passes.
All right. Representative Magrum's with us next. Hang with us. We will be back shortly.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's we talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck, your after-hours oasis of sanity. I'm your host, Rick Becker, co-host Lori Hintz, and our special guest representative, Jeffrey Magrum from
Hazelton.
What town? Hazelton.
Yeah.
I always forget. Just southeast of here.
Which district is that?
It's District 28, South Central North Dakota, which is the second biggest district in the state land-wise, essentially. So it starts by Desert Road, just by Mary College, and it goes all the way to 281 south of
He's from the land of Coogan.
That's big.
Yeah.
The Coogan,
sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut and Coogan.
Yeah,
awesome.
sauerkraut.
Very cool.
Coogan, yeah.
Now, District 28 is huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of good people. They stick with me. They've supported me, and
they are good folks.
I love with them, and they've been very supportive. And
yep, you've got a great
I'm happy
district.
to serve them.
You've got a great district, and you had a huge push from the governor. He tried to get you out.
Yes.
Even though you were endorsed by your Republican Party.
Yes.
Our governor spent a lot of money trying to keep you out.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, so his comment to me was that he didn't think I would support his agenda, so he wanted me out. But I don't know what his agenda is. It's looking like it's more of a marble cake type government where the governor's office is taking everything over instead of the traditional layer cake government.
That should scare you folks.
Yeah.
The governor wanted to take him out because he was afraid that he wouldn't support the governor's agenda. That's not how things work, Governor. That is not how they work. This is not a monarchy. You are not the CEO. You are not the king. You are a servant of the people that fulfills the role in the executive. And we are the legislature, and we keep you in check. And the people of North Dakota know that we can't keep you in check if you buy us all our seats in the legislature.
Now, the good news is the people of North Dakota came out en masse and they voted for you.
Yes. Yeah, the district didn't buy what he was selling.
There you go.
And I still ended up with the highest vote total out of the two Republicans that were running, as well as there was one Democrat. So they did reward me with my conservative
I
voting.
love the people of District 28 too. I had a really good time there. A lot of great people. Huge amounts of people show up for things there too in your district. I mean, from all over the place too. It was very fun.
You know, Jeff had a video during his campaign. It was just it was a heartfelt video.
I remember.
It actually brought a tear to my wife's eyes, and it gave me just a little
lump?
tightness.
Really,
a little
you?
lump.
Oh,
Wow.
I'm
I know.
shocked.
I'm impressed.
Shocked
I know.
I am.
Especially from the most courageous individual in the state legislature today.
Right?
I mean,
Here's your
let's
money.
face it, Rick he really encouraged many of us with his stance against what the governor was doing. If it wasn't for you, I mean, you did. It gave us and our families a lot of encouragement.
Well,
so I really appreciate it. It
that's
even
so
chokes
kind.
me up a little bit thinking of it, because a lot of people didn't know what to do when the governor steps out against you, and he is very popular, let's face it, he had a huge vote total, and so it was disappointing, but we do need to keep the separation of powers in the state, and healthy tension is good. I don't see that as being bad.
No, it's absolute. We need friction between the branches of the government.
You need friction and you need debate.
But anyway, that's very kind of you to say. But as Lori will tell you, my ego is plenty big. So
so don't get a big head. I'm not trying to. We like you a lot just the way you are.
Let's talk about some of your bills, because you've got a lot of good ones, a lot of interesting ones. I don't agree with all of them.
Really?
Yeah, or at least certain sections of some.
Well, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
It's interesting time to bring that up. I thought you would have told me that off to the side somewhere.
I never give people a heads up.
Well, let's talk first of all about the property tax one, HB 1446. What can you tell us about it?
So that bill is taking legacy fund earnings, which at this point, because it's been vulturized or whatever you want to say, cannibalized by the leadership, there's probably going to be about 165 million available per year for the next biennium. And to pay everyone's primary residence property tax would be a $400 million fiscal note. So we could, if this bill would pass, the state could pay about a third of everybody's primary residence. Now, I've talked to people that have said, I've said, well, you know, a third of your property tax, would that really make a difference? And one young man said it would save me, if it was a third, it would save me $200. And he said, Jeff, that's a lot of money to me, $200. Right. And so when you look up the definition of legacy, it's a gift. So this oil money, the people voted on the legacy fund several years ago. And then this money's been flowing into this fund. And there's over $7 billion in there, and it's creating quite a bit of interest earnings.
Right.
And so this bill would take them earnings, and as a legacy, a gift would be, it would be paying towards everybody's primary residence with the goal of eventually paying all the taxes on everybody's primary residence. And look at the economic development. I mean, everyone that would save money on their property taxes could probably afford something new, maybe remodeling their house, maybe a new bathtub. I don't know, I'm a plumber, so I got to think that way, but it would help the small contractors, because all these infrastructure projects that this state has been promoting, it always seems to help the engineers and the big contractors, and that's great, but we never look out for the small contractors anymore. We have carpenters that will get some work, we have electricians, heating and cooling guys, somebody maybe just wants to put a new window in, and that savings each year could help them make them improvements, and it would help the hardware stores, and then look at the sales tax it would generate. Exactly. So this thing would grow, and then we have all these other people from out of state would see that, and it may help people make a decision to move here or decide to stay here, because hey, these guys are trying to help us.
Well, we had Wayne Papke on talking about property tax relief, and it's not on everybody's radar, but it should be, because think about exactly as Jeff said, what that can do for the community in so many ways and make everything better and everything grow.
Yeah. So listen, here's the thing. You are absolutely right. The getting rid of property tax, getting rid of it in this case for primary residence, would be a boon to the economy. Absolutely, another driving force of why people would want to move here. The money that they have, they're going to spend. It's going to, you know, as they say, it's just going to keep flowing. I'm going to probably vote for it. But the problem I have is that what you're doing is taking a huge chunk of property taxes, but leaving all of the structure of taxing property in place, which means then that the burden is going to get shifted to agriculture and business. In theory, because the concept is that, well, we're going to fund that, and so it's no longer going to be needed by the locals, because it's still being funded. The problem is we take the pressure, once people have their houses paid for, they're no longer going to be holding their county commissioners accountable to keep their property taxes down. So my concern is when it's limited to one instead of across the board for everything, that it may in the end, just like when we did the buy down, in the end may cause a net increase in taxes. That's my concern with the bill. However, I just don't think I can stomach voting against getting rid
a
of
property tax, right?
for people's
Exactly.
private
Well, you got to
residences.
remember, we're already exempting farmers anyway, so
For their-
farmers, and we have homestead credits, we have
Right.
disabled veterans credits, so there's already been a movement towards subsidizing the home property tax. So this would just be another step in the direction of giving all the people, there's a lot of farmer ranchers that don't qualify for the farm home exemption. It would help them that are in the country, and it would help the
Yeah.
folks in the city as well, and they would get a gift from the legacy fund, so it would be
I got
nice.
you. Okay.
All right.
All
when
right,
we
Jeff
come back,
sold me.
Yeah. When
There
we
we go.
come back, we're going to go to HB 1193, and we'll come right back with Jeff Magrum in just a moment.
Howdy folks, it's the Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Boston breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a Kong roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering, it's the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
All right, we are back. No apologies on Beck with Representative Jeff Magrum. And next up, we're talking about the Family and Personal Protection Act, as we're calling it, House Bill 1193. Jeff and I serve on Judiciary Committee together. That's where the bill was heard. Jeff just presented it this afternoon. We heard testimony on it until about 5 o'clock tonight.
Wow.
Yay.
Yeah.
And then they're back here, right, together again.
Yeah,
All righty.
it was really good testimony for it. We had a lot of people show up, and of course there's always opposition. So
Why don't you explain
I think it's going to do well. What it is really is, it takes away the duty to retreat.
Oh.
Right now we have what they call the castle doctrine, which means you can defend yourself without trying to run and hide in your home,
Right.
your RV, or your place of work.
You don't have to go and retreat and
Right.
hide.
And this would expand it to wherever you are. If you're down by the river fishing, if you're out by your garage, you might be outside your house. And the way the law reads, you legally cannot defend yourself without trying to retreat. So you're supposed to try to run in the house or run in your RV or something like that.
Why should you have to do that if it's your land?
It's silly, right? I mean,
Well, and then-
to me, it would be a common sense bill, but yet we have pushback, and I don't know. They think there's going to be all this killing and things like that, but you always hear that from the left. Every time you try to protect your Second Amendment rights, they try to make it sound like it's just going to be total anarchy, and that gets frustrating.
Right.
But
So the thing is that it's very emotional and it's very political. The arguments opposing it are not strong. They're not strong at all. Now, it's not the end all. It's not that as though, you know, the world will end if it doesn't pass either. I mean, it goes both ways as far as being charged, politically charged.
Right.
But there are something on the order of 26 states that have stand your ground laws. And they're not seeing this tremendous amount of increased killing on the streets. The other thing is that if we take out the duty to retreat, so if you want to protect someone, they're in immediate harm, someone's about to shoot them, the way it stands currently in law is you have to try and retreat. And then if that doesn't work, you can use deadly force if necessary. If that gets removed, which is, Jeff, what your bill does, it still stands that the use of deadly force, when used in lawful self-defense or in defense of others, it's permissible if such force is necessary to protect the actor or anyone else against death, serious bodily injury, or the commission of a felony involving violence. So this doesn't mean you can just go shoot someone because they walked on your property.
Right.
That's all hyperbole. This still is, you have to have, it must be necessary. And that's the point you were trying to make today.
right, and so, I mean, you have to realize, and some of the young ladies that were there speaking for the bill, I can only imagine you're out on your 40-acre property, you're out feeding your pets, and all of a sudden someone drives in your yard and Lord
Threatens
knows,
you.
yeah. So they want to be able to defend themselves if something is going to happen. They fear for their life. I don't blame them. And as far as I'm concerned, I would think the women would really get behind this bill, because men can probably fight or run away a little faster, but especially people that are
Diminutive or small,
yeah,
not as strong and not as quick, right?
And so it would just level the playing field, so they don't have to feel like they have to run away and hide. And most people don't know that anyway, but the issue is, and this was brought up, that it's happened before where someone defended themselves. And yes, they did get off in the end, but it cost them their life savings, their family, their wives.
Because they didn't retreat?
They didn't retreat, but under our law, they were able to get off on the claim of self-defense.
After going through court.
Through everything.
But you always have
right.
to have this fear of being taken to court.
Right,
So
right.
is it going to be is it a big problem? Probably not, but like the one individual said today, he has a fire extinguisher in his garage. He's never had a fire in his garage.
Yeah.
But he still has a fire extinguisher. So it's a tool that you have that hopefully you never need it.
Right.
I would never want to shoot nobody. I can't imagine what that's like, but I don't want people, we're trying to empower the victims. Exactly. It seems like people are always looking out more for the perpetrators nowadays than for the victim.
So we got a minute. We got a minute and a half yet, and I want to hear about your last bill here too. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this last one is HB 1256, and this one is private money to elections and the governor's contributions to legislators. And this we talked about a little bit earlier, but you can see on there, use of non-public funds prohibited. The state and political subdivisions may not solicit, accept, or use any grants or donations from private persons for election operations or administration. That is straightforward.
This is because what, Jeff? What occurred?
Well, what happened is the Centers for Technology and Civic Life, which is mostly funded by the Mark Zuckerberg, who owns or is the founder of Facebook.
Right.
He sells campaign ads. He controls the algorithm. Then on the other side, he's paying money, grants directly to the counties for elections.
Yep.
And with all the election fraud, or what it sounds like there's been a lot of election fraud, potential for election fraud, how can we as a state provide a safe and a good election for everyone that's running. We spend a lot of money to run for a position. Why should we even take a chance that there's going to be mischief?
Yep.
So
it's hard to ensure that an election is fair when you're taking private money to fund the election.
Tell your legislators about this one and tell them to vote yes on HB 1256 because it's going to be very. Thank you, Jeff. So much.
Wait. No.
What?
There's one other part.
Okay.
The other part in the bill, and this is where we can go head to head. The other part in the bill says that the governor can't contribute to legislators' campaigns, right?
Yes.
It sounds lovely, but I'm concerned about infringement on First Amendment. So
well, it is based on Article 5, Section 10 of the North Dakota State Constitution, which was passed by the people in 1996.
I know. There's a gray area there.
Yeah.
I just don't want our viewers to think that everything is always
hunky-dory,
that it's a love fest among us conservatives. We hash things out. We want to abide by the Constitution of the United States and of North Dakota.
Yeah, but Rick, me and you aren't going to agree on everything. Me and the wife don't agree on everything. We've been married 35 years, so what the heck?
All right.
But
okay,
thanks.
so
I appreciate what you guys are doing here. I'm so impressed. Thank you.
Well, thanks for being
thanks
with
for
us.
having
Jeff.
Thanks for being with us. Folks, we are going to be back with Brain Food. Hang with us for the final segment.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin' breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a comb roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county. Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Coulter Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
We're back, and so are you. It's time for Brain Food on No Apologies on Beck.
I just love this so much because people are starting to use our words. I think that is so fun. So that makes me happy. So we're going to jump right into. So the setup is, with my very first word today, it was used on a sister show here on Beck called Ladies of Another View. And a legislator used this word, and I'd never heard this word before. So we'll show you the word. There it is, curtilage. I mean, that, you know, it's like, sounds like curdling a little bit.
I tore my curtilage.
Right, exactly, right? Okay, so this is where it was used in the show, and we're going to show you the clip so that you can see how it was used.
The way I found out about curtilage is one of my constituents had an animal neglect case against him. And they actually made a Hollywood movie, newsflash too. If you haven't heard of Protect the Harvest, it is absolutely awesome.
Yep, I certainly have.
They are awesome. For anybody in ag, they're awesome. But so it was a Democrat, and it was kind of a little bit of a sting. He came in and said, Luke, can I make you look like an idiot on the witness stand? I said, hey, if it's going to help absolutely, yeah, I don't care. And he put me on the platform, and he said, Luke, are you familiar with the Fourth Amendment? Of course, he knew I was. He said, would it shock you if you found out that your chicken coop, if it's 60 feet from your curtilage, from your home, is not protected under the Fourth Amendment? And I said, yes.
Your curtilage is not protected. I just love that. Okay, so it actually is referring to land, the area considered legally part of a house or dwelling, by virtue of its enclosure by a fence or habitual use in domestic cases. In law, the area of land occupied by a dwelling in its yard and outbuildings and enclosed or deemed as enclosed for the better use and enjoyment. That's your curtilage. It's your area of your land and your property.
Cool. I learned about curtilage in 2013 when I first proposed a bill that would require law enforcement to have a search warrant if they were going to do surveillance with a drone on your person.
So you heard the word curtilage?
Yeah.
Normal people have not heard the word curtilage, I'm thinking. So,
no, I had never heard of it before that. That was,
by the way, that was Representative Luke Simons from District 36. And he was talking about his bill at that point, and that was HB 1340 if you want to go look it up. Curtilage. It doesn't say curtilage in the bill, though.
So my next brain food deals with the fallout from the current administration. And the trifecta with Democrats having the House and the Senate. As you know, the Keystone Pipeline is shut down. They're probably going to go after No DAPL. They're not doing any more drilling on federal lands, and they're going to continue to go after it, despite Biden saying that's silly. He's not going to put an end to fracking. He wants to put an end to fracking because oil is evil. So I just want to let everyone know things that you need to be prepared for. In the future, if Biden has his way, you will need to forego the following, because petroleum is used to make a lot of things. First clip, first graphic. No, I don't even know what that is.
That's my bill, sorry.
Go to the next one. You can have all the paper bills you want without oil.
Okay.
But what you can't have is contacts.
That's going to be problematic. Oh, you can't have contacts?
You can't have makeup.
Makeup is made with petroleum. Oh,
you can't have toothpaste, nor can you have a toothbrush.
That's not that's not going to work for me.
These are things you have to go without if we don't have oil. Just be prepared, because it's going to happen, I guess.
Wow. And not only that, but I am not in favor of $4 gas at all. Okay, so my next word comes from a previous show that we had where we had things compared to one another, and we used this word. The word is juxtaposition. Now, juxtaposition is actually a word that we used it during the show to kind of show a graphic. So I'm going to show you a graphic that shows a juxtaposition. It's an act or an instance of placing two or more things side by side, often to compare or contrast or create an interesting effect. In this case, it was a blue line and an orange line contrasting the two different states of North Dakota and South Dakota, juxtaposing using the juxtaposition. The state of being so placed, contrasting shapes placed in juxtaposition, I can say it, juxtaposition with one another. So you're comparing and contrasting, essentially.
Yep. And by the way, both of those curves are continuing to go down. That's from back when we did the show a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Both curves are coming down. North Dakota is still slightly lower than South Dakota, which is just happenstance. All right. My last and final little bit of brain trivia, brain food, is, again, we're going back to oil. if everyone's jazzed about using electric cars, which is going to be better for the environment, I just want to let you know that the CO2 produced is nearly as much as your gasoline car.
Wow, really
it's 310 kilograms of CO2 instead of 350 kilograms of CO2. The way to go would be natural gas, I guess. Or what's even better than that is if you had solar-powered little things on top of your car, that would be zero kilograms. So there you have it.
Except
the way to
you'd
go
only
is
be able
natural
to go
gas.
like a mile.
Yeah.
That's the only other thing too.
Now, in fairness, if there was a system, the infrastructure in place to do solar-powered, where the actual infrastructure of electricity grid, the grid,
right,
was powered by solar, then that would be a much lower carbon footprint than the coal-powered electric vehicle, which is what, in essence, they all are right now. So if you're feeling holier than thou by driving around your Prius or some other electric vehicle, think again.
I think that was really
You're not that
surprising.
great.
I was not expecting them to be so close in amounts for gas.
Now, on the other hand, if you're driving a Tesla just because it's cool and Elon Musk is cool and you're helping increase the stock price, which is helping my 401k, kudos to you.
Thank you for that,
Yes.
I guess. Well, that's really interesting. And petroleum is a big thing in North Dakota. So I don't know about you, but a lot of really nervous people. I have heard that 11,000 jobs, poof, are gone immediately already in the state with regard to petroleum. And every time you said no DAPL too, I was like, do not say that word. Don't say it.
Does it
Don't
make
even
you
say
cringe?
DAPL. Don't even say DAPL, because I just really, really do not want to see what could happen. And I don't want it to be on his radar. So nobody tell the new president about that, okay? So just sort of lay under the radar a little bit there. So, all right.
Well, leftists are in charge in the White House, so I expect to see it.
Yeah, and with petroleum, we knew that was going to be one of the very first things that they were going to do, because the Green New Deal and AOC is apparently running things.
Well, he straight out lied.
Yep.
And of course, nobody lies except Trump, according to the media.
Supposedly.
But he did. Biden straight out lied about ending fracking. That's his goal. It was always his goal. We always knew it. And he just straight out lied.
So tomorrow we will be talking again and educating you a little bit about this nebulous thing called the Bastiat. Nobody knows what Bastiat is. We'll tell you about that, and we'll have another legislator to join us here on No Apologies. We'll see you then.